Hey guys, welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to go through the process of sculpting these 1-month-old red panda heads. So that way you can probably do it yourself if you want to make some baby red pandas. And this is commissioned by the Calgary Zoo as well. So these are my last 2 ones that I'm doing. And I also have 2 more pandas to come as well. So stay tuned. So first of all, I'm starting off with the core, which is a aluminium foil ball, or aluminum if you're American. And that is because I'll be using Sculpey for the head, and using the aluminium ball in between the Sculpey as a core base means that it will be a lot lighter than using a solid Sculpey head, and it's also less material as well, and it's just a great idea to use something as a core. And also when you bake the Sculpey, it will be able to penetrate the heat and set the Sculpey to the hard polymer clay that you know. So starting off by wrapping that ball with some of that Sculpey, and I'm using Sculpey Original. I quite like using Sculpey Original. I find it easier to work with. And I'm just marking out where I want the eyes to go. And I'm using some glass eyes that I've made myself from some cabochons, and just slowly marking it out and just covering the eyeball with some of that Sculpey just to make the eyelids. So I am making these 2 heads, so I want them to be a little bit different. So one's going to have slightly more open eyes, and one's going to have more barely open eyes. So this one in particular is going to be open eyes, and because they're babies, they need to be still like they've just been opened. So I just put the Sculpey on top of the eye to start off with, and then I can work through it and just change the eyelid position as I come along. So now I am putting the little muzzle together. So I usually start off by putting the 2 little lip bits together, and then on top of that I will then add the nose. And if you look at animal anatomies, it's usually the nose that is slightly more raised than the actual muzzle lips. So definitely have a look at some reference photos for any creature that you're sculpting to make sure you have every bit in the right position. So now I'm just going ahead and marking the nostril area, and I go back to the nostril areas quite a few times throughout sculpting things because it does get a little bit smooshed and stuff, so always go back and work with what you have. So just working on the brow line of the little pandas, and just building up on top of a small little frame. So I like to build on things rather than take away sculpting. So there's no right or wrong way of sculpting. It's however you find works for you. So moving on to the eye area and just creating some more brow definition. So once I've done that, I then move on to just furring the bits that will be exposed. So I'm not going to do the whole head with this furring like I normally do. So I'm just going to do around the muzzle and the eyes, just because with baby pandas, some of their little muzzle areas are a bit naked, so there's not all that much hair on it. So I want that texture to come through the fur. So I'll be adding just like a tad of fur pile to it, so it's still a little bit naked. And the same deal with around the eyes too, so just adding a little bit of texture around the eyes. And I mean, I often get that question, why do I bother furring the whole face? And I just find that it finishes the sculpt a bit more, and I'm a bit happier with the way it looks once it has some texture on it, because sometimes it can look a bit weird. And it also helps things to attach properly as well. Alright, so the second head I'm sculpting, I decided to make it a little bit different, and I wanted to have an open mouth sculpt. And I haven't done an open mouth sculpt before, so I definitely want to do something in the future with an open mouth. I'm thinking of a wolf or something. So the same deal with this sculpt as the previous one, but I have only added the lower jaw after I have sculpted the eyebrow and the upper muzzle area. So usually I add the lips and the lower jaw quite early on, but this one I left it out and just defined the rest of the sculpture. So, and I'm making the lower jaw off the actual head, so I can go and attach it a bit later, and you know, I can add and subtract things as well. So always make something a little bit bigger, then you can subtract it if you're not sure. So I'm just going to go through and just work out the positioning of the jaw. You don't want it to be too forward, because if you look at a red panda anatomy, their jaw doesn't actually go further than the top of the muzzle, and you know, some animals do, some animals don't, so you definitely want to keep an eye on that anatomy. And you can tell with this sculpt that I have the eyes almost shut as well. So like he's sort of yawning. Yeah, I wanted 2 different dolls for this one. So hopefully the zoo will appreciate that little difference. So just working on the sides of the face just to build some definition, and going ahead and doing the same furring results. So this is what we have at the end. So these are the 2 little panda heads, and I have sculpted some feet too, but you know, feet's pretty boring, so I didn't include it. And I also attached that plastic ball and socket armature to the back of the heads as well. And I do plan on making a video about the armature, how I like it and stuff, so definitely stay tuned. I will keep you updated when that comes out, hopefully soon. I just don't have much time to do it. So that is it from me today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. If you have any requests, you can leave it in the comments down below. You can also check me out on Instagram and Facebook at Creatures of Nat, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!